Welcome to Haunted Stories for Space Camping, where we explore the unexplainable. I'm Felix the Human, and with me is my co-host, Mad Matt, the Mad Professor, the Armchair Extraordinaire. He is the expert, the king of conspiracies, the sultan of suspicion, and I am a casual consumer of the curious. Before we start, make sure you like and subscribe, rate and review, whatever you do.
We're live again. Okay, so Manchester UFO. We touched on that. What do you got? What's been gnawing at your stump, man? Huh?
You know, I've been out of it for a little while.
I got another one ready to go if you want me to do it.
Yeah, go ahead, because it'll give me time to
Dude, have you
think about what I've been doing for the past couple of weeks.
Have you been hearing the interesting things that the new telescope that they have up there is sending back? Have you heard any of this stuff? It's wild.
No, I've been out of all of it.
So, forgive me, I should know more before jumping into it, but it's the newest telescope they have up there. I don't know if that is the James Webb Space Telescope. It may be that. I'm not sure. I know it's not the Hubble. The Hubble's the old one. But so I think it's the James Webb Space Telescope. So this thing can see farther than any telescope ever made. And it's seen so far into the redshift spectrum, which is stuff that's moving away from us.
Yeah.
That it's seeing things that shouldn't exist. And their structures is what they are. And when people hear that right off their bat, they're like, oh, structures, what's out there? Well, not structures like what we think when we hear that word, but structures like as in celestial structures, cosmic structures.
Break that down.
Like the structures of gas clouds and particles and stuff, and like almost like the primordial ooze of space. Anyway, they're seeing stuff out there.
Type shit.
Yeah, you got it. They're seeing stuff out there that is older than what it should be, meaning that they're seeing stuff. If the galaxy is 13.5 billion years old, and they're seeing stuff at the edge of the galaxy that is already 8 billion, 9 billion years old, where if it should be more congruent with the rest of the natural stuff around it. So they're seeing these structures that should have dissipated, should have been made into other things, but still maintain their integrity, and that are older than the current space that they should be in. They shouldn't be there.
How do you go about determining the age of that stuff?
That is what I said. It's in the redshift. They do that by measuring the amount of infrared the object, structure, star, planet, solar system is throwing off. If it's throwing off infrared, it's moving away from us. It's in the redshift spectrum. Think about like a Doppler effect. When something's coming at you, it's in the blue shift, and then as it's moving away from you, it's in the red shift. So
how do they determine that stuff is older than it should be?
So
that's what I'm asking.
So think about it like in the cosmic background radiation, everything should be one color, and then they're finding these cosmic star structures that look like star nurseries and galaxies and stuff like that are you see, now this is where the science fails me, but it's whether it's a different color red than the rest of the background, and it shouldn't be. It should be the rest of it. Should all be the same color. The farther you get out, there should be less out there, but there's these structures that are already out there that based on the determination of the already established expansion rate of the universe shouldn't exist where they're at, based on what we've already determined was the rate of expansion for the universe.
How would you go about explaining that? Is it time works different further out you go?
Dude, that's another one we can, you really, time is, Brian Cox right now is on fire. They're theorizing that time is an element. And I know that's weird to latch on to, but everything right now, from what we previously understood, is starting to shift. We're starting to understand it in different ways. And
well, when you start equating it to resources, in my mind immediately goes to, does that mean it's not infinite now?
You know, I never really thought about it in that aspect of it not being finite. But there's so much in question around black holes now, and what gravity is, and how gravity is associated with time. That's where I needed to go with this, and I kind of got flustered. But because we don't understand, we don't understand, we're starting to understand more about black holes. We don't understand their mechanics and how they move the universe forward. But, you know, at the center of every galaxy, there's a supermassive black hole. They're an integral.
I'm gonna have to go back.
You have to go
I'm
back.
gonna have to go back to our previous topic and relate it to what I know here. I mean, when you say gravity and time are intermingled, and we're learning that makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, we wouldn't.
Yeah.
How we base time here on Earth is completely dependent on gravity.
Absolutely, 100%.
Gravity dictates our concept of time right here, right now.
Yep. If you got in a spaceship right now, Joe, and you flew away from the Earth, at a certain point, you would start aging slower compared to the rest of us here on Earth. And the farther away you got, the slower you would age, and the faster we would age.
Right. So yeah, no, that's just where, like, putting it in my perspective, that's where my mind immediately starts rolling to. You know, if it's an element, it's potentially a resource. What's that mean to implications? You know, obviously it means nothing to us. We'll be long dead before any of this, but it's fun for me to just kind of go down that train of thought.
Dude, it's some big brain stuff. I'm telling you, if you think about it too much, you really start to step outside of yourself for a second. Like, you know, start asking the lofty questions.
Yeah, I don't
like,
have a big brain.
Why is there air? And
well, angels blow on us every night.
Exactly. There's stuff that's really changing their understanding of how, like, so there's even some question now, like if spaghettification would even really happen. And here's another one that's out there right now, that spaghettification doesn't happen and you really go someplace else. That one's back on the table. No longer science fiction, kids. It's real. You could, not only could you go into a black hole, but you might actually survive. And you know, for a while it was, if you go in there, you're going to get crushed. That's it. You're done. And now it's,
well, you know,
you may not get crushed. I remember
that coming on the table, but people never let go of that. The we could make it through. People never let go.
No, they haven't.
And science fiction movies kept that shit alive.
They did.
Anime kept that shit alive. And
Star Trek kept that shit alive.
Is it right? Like, it's clearly not linear. How do you navigate that? That'd be insane. Is it just like you step into it and then there's a bunch of portal holes? Like, I think I'll go to this one today.
Has anyone, have we seen, it'd be a good time to start reviewing your Warhammer 40k, boys and girls.
Can you remain conscious? What is consciousness once you enter a black hole? What is time once you get in there? Are you suspended in time in there?
That right there, you're hitting the nail on the head. What is time when you get in there? If gravity is if gravity is intermingled with time, and the forces of gravity predict in ways that we cannot comprehend, then what does that do to the forces of time? You hit the nail on the head.
I'm just waiting to see how long it takes for Musk to try to create his own black hole. It's just a matter of time before we do controlled black holes and
I think
eventually tear the planet apart on accident.
No. I think CERN has been doing their thing. I think they've been look, that they have the ability over there to do that, especially with the amount of they can make dark matter in very small quantities, and
Right.
I think they experiment on more than what they let on. Who knows?
Oh, for sure.
Who knows what they've already done? It would not surprise me if they have one floating in a glass jar in the basement of that place. It really would not. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. What mad scientist is going to be like, well, this is the next step in power for the whole planet, so I'm just going to make one in my lab, and then, half the Earth is missing, or the whole Earth gets sucked into it. And yeah, potential is bad.
How far have we gotten away from the Earth with satellite or anything like that?
I think Voyager is the farthest out there, and I think, if I'm saying this right, it is beyond the Kuiper belt and is into the Oort cloud. Hold on here. Where is Voyager? So it's almost at the other side of the Oort cloud into the heliopause, which is interstellar space.
So my question with that leads me to, we got to get something into a black hole, right? We got to try.
Well,
how close have we ever gotten to a black hole?
I don't.
It's going to require a new form of travel and energy.
Oh yeah. There's no way. Yeah. There's no way we can ever get there in time.
Will we get there in our lifetime, do you think? As quickly, exponentially, advancement just compounds in the speed of which we continue to advance. Do you think we get there before the end of our time?
Okay, so unless we make friends with Manchester Blue Orb guy, or the government comes clean and says, hey, we are Manchester Blue Orb guy, then no. I don't think in our lifetime we won't even get to Mars in our lifetime.
I don't think we're Manchester Blue Orb, by the way.
I don't think we're Manchester Blue Orb either, man. But let me tell you, if you go look at a few pictures out there, there's some really good 3D renders. Some people have really kind of looked at that, analyzed that image with some rendering software. And it's pretty like Halo 343 Guilty Spark looking. Like, it's very biomechanical looking in nature. It seems to have a singular main port, whether that be an ocular port or an exhaust port or whatever you want to call it. It kind of looks like if Sonic the Hedgehog was a pool ball.
Or just when he spins around, pinballing back and forth.
It looks pretty wild. I would be real interested. Like, I don't know. We're digressing. We could have a whole episode about that because that orb just makes me think about so much stuff. Like, if that's real, that's an interdimensional object in our reality, physically, at an airport, hanging out on an airstrip, on some blacktop, where multiple people seen it, where a pilot who just got done flying an airplane full of people around said, rings it in over the radio, where there's pictures from multiple angles, where there's eyewitness reports of it zooming off. Like, okay, like you said, if it's remote controlled, it's just a bunch of computer junk on the inside. Okay, cool. Who's controlling it? Where are they controlling it from? Is it even from this whole... I guess what I'm trying to say is until...
Why Manchester?
Well, yeah. Why Manchester? But what I'm saying is like, if anything in our lifetime, we might not make it to the stars or anything, but I would really like to see something like that materialize in our reality. I'd like to know how it gets here, what that looks like. Does it look like a rip? Does it look like a rift? Does it look like a shiny ball? Does it look like a bolt of lightning? Does it look like a portal? Do they crawl out of a hole in the ground? What does it look like?
Yeah, I think it's just I don't even think you'll see it. I think it's just there, then it's gone.
It just phases in and out.
One thing, if we're staying relevant, what do you think of Jared Isaacman as head of NASA under the Trump regime? Billionaire spaceman. Do you think it's a good pick for the future of NASA?
So, I'll just be brutally honest here. It really hurt me when NASA came out and said we're no longer going to do space stuff. I just don't understand, and I know that's not what they said. That's not what I'm saying. When they retired all of the spaceships and said spaceships and going to space is no longer our thing, that seems more like a private industry thing. And I really
that's gonna they think it's gonna help innovation. It's gonna kill it. Well, because there's going to be competition. And you don't reveal things with your competition.
Right. And it's going to be, hush hush to the highest bidder. The public is going to be left 15, 20 years behind what these corporations will be selling to the highest bidder for so much money, for money that's just gross and disgusting. And something of this importance of getting to the moon, of harvesting resources in space, of spreading out and colonizing other worlds should be led by it doesn't have to be our government, but a government should be leading that effort. I mean, and I grew up with NASA.
Are going down a bad movie. That's what we're on right now. It's a bad movie.
Yeah,
it's a movie where the Earth ends up in turmoil and only the 1% gets away.
Dude, it's not a bad movie. It's called The Expanse. Look, seriously, in like book 6, let me tell you. Here's a plug for The Expanse. James S.A. Corey, here's your plug. I hope I don't offend, but I believe it is in book 6. After one of the main villains starts chucking giant asteroids at Earth, that a lot of the rich people escape. And in The Expanse, it's a super capitalistic society. And there's a large welfare state, so it's just not like, they're just not like killing people who can't make it or anything. But the wealthy are at the top. They do live the best lives, just like today. And they have private spaceships at their home, like at their lake house. So yes, that's exactly what you will have. Yeah. You're going to have all these private industry, all these private companies. They're going to be catering. They're going to be selling to all these ultra rich people so they can escape Earth when shit hits the fan. and it's it. And there's going to be no regulation. See, in their world, it's perfect. There's regulation, there's oversight, but we're not even there yet. So people are going to be making these homemade manufactured spaceships. There's no telling whether they're going to work or not. And I mean, they're all going to go looking for the Titanic or something.
Yeah, but I mean, does it get better at least if you have an astronaut heading NASA? Does it get any better?
Back to your question.
Yeah, you remember that about 5 minutes ago.
Back to your question. I think that if he's about the government, I'm not saying this, I'm not towing the party line or anything. I'm not a good little government boy, but I'm saying if he's about NASA putting spaceships back in space, then I'm for him. That's it. Like, I don't want Blue Dragon. I don't want SpaceX. I don't want, Boeing. I don't want Lockheed. I want NASA. Building a shuttle and throwing it back up into space. That's what I want. Which is another episode we have. Have you heard about the accelerator method to getting things off planet? Basically, putting things in a giant accelerator, like a diffuser, and then letting them go at a certain point and throwing them so hard that they exit the atmosphere in a geosynchronous orbit.
I mean, it sounds like a theme park ride.
Dude, but think about it. There's no fuel. Only the energy to spin up the throwing arm.
Yeah.
I think it would be cool.
I'm still waiting on the... what was the super speed tunnels?
Yeah, the bullet trains that are supposed to be over. Didn't David David Bronson, Virgin guy, wasn't going to make one of those tunnels?
Yeah, Richard Bronson.
There we go.
I'm still waiting on the Hyperloop, so I can't even look forward to a giant catapult.
Well, I'm telling you, I don't understand why they don't build it. They should just build the Hyperloop. People would use it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still waiting. I'm waiting on everything. I'm waiting on a fully driverless car. I'm waiting on
Me too, homie.
Waiting on...
I just want my car to drive me places. Why can't I have that? What?
I could get so much done.
Right! I could watch so much Instagram if my car actually drove for me.